Okay, what if I told you that a secret plan cooked up in a French villa way back in 1956 actually wrote the rulebook for the global energy wars we're seeing right now? Seriously. The Suez Crisis isn't just some dusty old history lesson. It's the blueprint. It shows us exactly how power works in our world today. So listen to this. That quote, that's not from some general's diary discovered years later. No, this was written down and signed before a single shot was even fired. It's the smoking gun laying out a secret plot by three countries, Britain, France, and Israel, to literally start a war, all to grab control of the most important shipping lane on the planet. So let's dive into this secret pact. How on earth did this whole thing even happen? Well, it was a desperate gamble. And when the secret finally got out, it didn't just fail, it brought a global empire to its knees and revealed something really dangerous about how the world actually works. Yeah, so this wasn't some spur-of-the-moment decision. It was all planned out. See, Egypt's president, Nasser, had just nationalized the Suez Canal. For Europe, this was a huge deal. It was their main highway for getting oil from the Middle East. For Britain and France, these old colonial powers, it felt like someone was cutting off their oxygen. They saw it as a threat they had to crush with force. And the plan itself? Oh, it was deviously simple. Check this out. Step 1, Israel attacks Egypt. Step 2, Britain and France step in and tell both sides to back off from the canal. And step 3, when Egypt, the country that was just attacked, refuses, well, that's when the British and French invade. But here's the kicker. They don't call it an invasion. They call it peacekeeping. It was the perfect cover story. All right, but here's where the story takes a massive turn. The plan had a fatal flaw, something the plotters never saw coming. They were ready for tanks, they were ready for planes, but they had no idea they were about to be hit with a totally different kind of weapon. And this one wasn't coming from Egypt. It was coming from Washington, D.C. And at first, the military invasion went off without a hitch. It looked like a success. But the real battle, the one that actually mattered, wasn't being fought in the sands of the Sinai. Nope. The war was about to be won or lost on the global financial markets. It was all about the British pound. You see, the United States was absolutely furious that its allies did this behind their back. But instead of sending the Navy, they did something way more powerful. They weaponized money. The U.S. started dumping its massive holdings of the British pound, triggering a complete financial panic. All of a sudden, Britain's money reserves just started hemorrhaging. They were going broke fast. And Washington's message was simple. We won't help you until you pull your troops out, now. And that was it. That was the moment the world changed. Britain, this huge global empire, was forced back down. Not because of an enemy army, but because its closest ally turned off the money tap. The lesson was crystal clear. Sending in the gunboats was old news. The new game was about controlling money and oil. This was the birth of the petrodollar system that really has run the world ever since. So why are we talking about a crisis from the 1950s? Well, because the ghost of Suez is everywhere today. The exact same stretch of water is right back in the headlines at the center of another global crisis. It's a powerful reminder that the rulebook written back then is still being used today. Just look at this number, 15%. 15% of everything shipped around the world goes through this one tiny corridor. We're talking oil, gas, the phone in your pocket, the clothes you're wearing, oh, and the internet itself through undersea cables. Honestly, the stakes today might even be higher than they were back then. And that brings us to this key idea, a maritime choke point. Think of it like a bottleneck. It's a place so narrow and so important that if you can control it, or even just mess with it a little, you basically have a hand on the throttle of the entire global economy. And the threats today? Wow, they are so much more complicated. It's not just one country versus another anymore. You've got Houthi rebels with cheap but deadly drones. That chaos brings back old problems like Somali pirates. And all the while, big global powers are piling their warships into the area, basically turning the whole region into a tinderbox. And let's not forget those internet cables on the ocean floor. It is a mess. And just like in 1956, some of the most powerful weapons aren't missiles, they're economic. Just look at this jump in insurance costs. We're talking about a massive spike. For a big ship, that can add millions of dollars to the cost of a single trip. And that's exactly how a local conflict suddenly starts hitting your wallet, disrupting supply chains and making everything more expensive. So let's put it all together. When you look at 1956 and you look at today, the pattern is just undeniable. The faces are different, the tech is way more advanced, But the basic game plan, the blueprint, it's exactly the same. I mean, just look at this comparison. Back then, you had old empires with their armies fighting over oil. Today, you've got this messy mix of rebel groups and global navies using drones and supply chain chaos to fight over, well, everything. Global trade, energy, even our internet data. The names and the tools have changed, but the goal of choking off a vital route to gain power is identical. And that's really the big takeaway from Suez, isn't it? It's the ultimate lesson. Power isn't just about owning land anymore. Real power is about controlling the flow. The shipping lanes, the oil pipelines, and yeah, now the cables that carry all our information. So that leaves us with a huge question for the future, right? This whole blueprint was designed for a world running on oil. But what happens as we move to green energy and our lives become even more digital? Are we just going to see new choke points? Will the next Suez-style crisis be over a lithium mine, a cobalt supply line, or control over those internet cables? The playbook is there. What will they use it on next? You know, the Suez crisis teaches us something profound. The specific events of history might not repeat, but they absolutely set the rules of the game. And the rules written in that secret meeting almost 70 years ago, we're all still playing by them today.